Previously on what's causing all this.
We held out this no one if the was she was just
the sound man's trying to find that button, and finally, thank fuck he's back.
We would. Gonna be reading straight from this book. Gonna do chapter 7 in this video and also chapter 8. Bear with me as I switch to different angle. Right about here. And you should hopefully see above me pictures of the actual pages of the book. Was it gonna be kind of done slideshow style so that you could see the pages and also so that I can edit, censor out last names, and, you know what I mean? So let's get started. It's chapter 7, back at the home front. On my way back to Virginia, I went through the northern route through the state of Colorado, space period, up and down the mountains, and took forever to get to Denver, space period, then through Kansas, driving through flatland, forever and forever. Nothing in sight, and I needed a gas station to stop at and finally made it to a gas station in Lima, Kansas. Driving on empty for about a good 4 to 5 hours, it seemed. Filled the Beamer with gas after driving in panic mode throughout the state of Kansas. Went through Missouri and went through St. Louis. St. Louis was a blast, going to the old Busch Stadium catching a Cardinals game and through the Sacred Cathedral. Got memorabilia and some trinkets. Got some food, and it was on my way back to Virginia. Meanwhile, my dad's condition was getting worse. He had urinated more blood and went through more trips at Enrico Doctor's Hospital. No information was given, just the old man telling me he is fighting it and is doing the best he can under the condition. With half of one of his lungs removed and losing hair, he was holding up pretty well. Losing his balance when he walked was one of the conditions and after effects that chemotherapy had, and I was more concerned about him falling on the ground. His usual activities were lessened, even though he would try to fix televisions, sets of others, to try to keep himself busy with his time. My stepmother didn't seem concerned because I could tell she was more interested in getting her hands on my father's money, along with her children. Meanwhile, I took the reins back on the show, showing highlights from Las Vegas and stops along the way. Group that performed, and we aired that as a promo for the show's intro and getting haircuts from a place called A Little Off the Top Hair Salon with women cutting hair in lingerie. Yeah, that was the name. We aired those 2 spots on the show. Jim was doing the boards for our show along with me and Kevin and different guests that we could muster and find. The Gorgeous George show was getting heard of more than ever, in which Kevin rode my coattails for the whole year of 1999. Paul Redacted, the station manager, granted that block, and Kevin certainly took advantage of his 2 months with his cavalcade of fun, or whatever the hell who called it. We were coming to the year 2000, and everybody was scared about Y to K. And since the decade was going into a different century, how everything was going to stop, and how the banking institution was going to cease to exist. Everybody seems to be in panic. We mustered along, and I was getting phone calls from Sue saying she lost her job, and she's in one hell of a mess, and how she wanted to get away from her roommate. Brian Redacted was the buffoon's name. Matt called me up and wanted to apologize for what had happened, and I said fine, but what I did to you stemmed from what you tried to do to me. He acknowledged it and told me his injury wasn't as bad as he thought, though he had lost consciousness. Halloween came, and we flew back to Vegas to check on Sue for the Halloween weekend. Sue, real problems started to bloom space period. I called her on the phone, and she went into a panic mode, stumbling her words. I informed her that I was in town. I informed her I was in town for just the weekend and coming to get her. When I went there, I told Matt to be on the lookout if her roommate pulled in. I went up to knock on her door, and no one came out. She was not answering her phone neither, which made things more of an issue because virtually no way to get her. Matt and I went back to the Super 8 on Colville Street. Driving in Vegas became second nature for me, learning the strip the first time and getting around there on this second trip. That whole weekend was consumed on why she wasn't answering her phone. Matt and I went to the sports book and gambled on sports space period. Finally, the weekend went by and still no word or call from her. She finally called again, and then she answered the phone. I explained to her about being there the whole weekend without her getting in contact with me and how I've been calling repeatedly with no answer. She said she was out with her friend Harry. I said, who in the fuck is Harry? Question mark, question mark. We've been kind of dating space, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Say what the fuck? But you called me down here for me to visit, and you're talking about guy name
fucking Harry?
Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. She said I'm sorry that I didn't have to get hostile. I said, you're damn right I'm hostile. I didn't have to be lied to neither. I said I'm here for only a few more hours. I said then me and my friend are flying back home. I said call me when that clown Harry is not around so we can get some food together. Not a word, so we flew back home. Very angry and felt like I was being played. I did some heavy investigation about Sue's past. I hired a private investigator, as people close to each other are known to do, out there, and told me that Sue had a serious drug problem and has been in and out of jail throughout her time in Vegas. I felt pissed at her, but still cared enough to check up on her, period. So 2000 came about, and everybody said Happy New Year's, and everybody was still here. The world didn't blow up, and there was no real scare about Armageddon or the REM song, The End of the World as We Know It. I put ads in the paper looking for female co-hosts and extras for the show. In one episode, Kevin played a drunk character known as Foster Brooks, space period. In this episode, a nurse was trying to give him a shot and he was hearing nothing of that. Kevin, with his versatile approach with different voice impressions, helped me carry the show by him getting out of character and doing improv, space period. 10%, yeah, 10%'s fine. Sometimes it would hit, and sometimes it would miss. Doesn't matter because it was still my production and my show. We did a presidential debate between me and Kevin. Kevin playing Bush and me playing Al Gore. Two of Kevin's friends came on aboard. Guy by the name of Vince Redacted and Chinese lady by the name of Susan Redacted, but decidedly not a Chinese last name. Playing that debate, Vince Newman, put his name out there, why not? Became the moderator of the skit. So in late 2000, Vince became another wheel, and some called him my token black friend. He was very knowledgeable in a few things, but always wore hockey jerseys and the stinking Washington Foreskins jersey for Washington Foreskins. Nevertheless, he became a fixture on my show. Vince, other than having taste for shit for sports teams, was a good, decent guy. We aired a debate during the 2000 election being between Gore and Bush Jr., using the mask of these different characters. Of course, we can blame the outcome on Florida. Going back to Matt, he was talking about going to the casinos in Jersey with a guy named Ryan Redacted. Ryan was mentally fucked in the head and was a bad influence for Matt. Ryan would mess with underage women and again was a bad influence on Matt. Ryan would flash this girl named Lisa Redacted as his girlfriend. Lisa danced at different gentlemen's clubs as well, but only for a brief time. She was a highly attractive girl, and the odd question was, what in the hell was she doing with Ryan Redacted? I called him Numbnuts because he truly was a numbnut. ... Going to Orioles games with Matt, they got me going to Baltimore with them, space period. Baltimore Street is the place where this degenerate went pursuing Matt to come with him. As one could imagine, Baltimore Street was a 2-block radius of cat houses, ironically right near the police station. Go figure that one out. When you walked in one of these cat houses, you would be greeted by this thick, fairly attractive woman with this plastic container that looked like toothpaste, but was cream. She came up to me and unzipped my zipper and said, "Would you like some cream on your dick?" I said, "Excuse me, I don't know you, but that's one hell of a greeting!" Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. She said, "Let me rub some of that on your scrotum and balls." Again, I don't know you like that. She said, "Stop the grandstanding and let me do it. You know you want me to." LOL, I was thinking to myself. This stuff can't be made up. I dropped $65 and she was rubbing cream on a space mountain. I just had to take it all in and enjoy the moment because this wouldn't be happening in an everyday setting. I guess that's why they call them cat houses. Everything goes with the police station down the corner. LOL, Ryan had a rap sheet supposedly, but was a whimsical dude. He would dance on a pole in one of the clubs by himself and try to cause a stir and scenes in a few places. Again, this dude wasn't wrapped too tight. Matt would hang out with him and catch the brunt in some cases of his transgressions. One night, Matt and myself introduced ourselves to Lisa. Lisa seemed to be an attractive lady at the time with 2 kids, but in reality, she was fucking ugly. She had an ex that she wasn't separated from. When the time came to leave, she told me it was great to meet you both, to me and Matt. Her house was being heated by oil heater. So, it was extremely cold in her house. Meanwhile, we were approaching the holidays. Things progressed with the show. We had more live shows coming into Christmas of 2000. Shows at the Caroline and live shows at the station. George W. Bush became president after the debacle of uncounted votes from Florida, marching into 2001. That's chapter 7.